Hello my people, welcome to another tutorial. My name is Agnes. In today's tutorial I will show you how I crocheted this V neckline sweater. It's like a sweater dress, but you can make it short so it's quite adjustable. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. So if you are managing a growing brand or just starting out, Squarespace makes it easy for you to create a beautiful website and sell anything online and on your own terms. The sweater is quite easy. You can adjust the pattern. I used the double crochet stitch with some mesh part of it, but you can leave out the mesh part if that's not your cup of tea. It is striped. You can also do away with this. So it's quite sizable. You can make it a crop top or a crop sweater, or longer or shorter, depending on your preference. This is what I preferred, so this is what I made. I will let you know how I made this. So for the yarn, I used Sina. This is from volido.de and it is 100 grams, 170 meters each skein. I used 5 of white and then 2 of this red. It is 80% acrylic and 20% cotton wool. It recommends a 5mm hook size, and that's what I'll be using. So if you use any other yarn, use hook size recommended by that yarn. So it's more like chunky yarn, and these are the colors. I'm using 2 colors. Hook size is 5.0. You can use any other yarn size. You will need a tape measure. You will need scissors and a needle to sew in some of the parts. All right, it is worked in one part. Okay, so we are going to start from the bottom of the back, work all the way to the top of our shoulders, then down to the V and down to the front part with the sleeves in between, added in between. So you are going to make a very long chain. My chain is going to be longer than, so my sweater width is back to back measurement, shoulder to shoulder measurements plus 4 inches. So I'm going to make a chain that is longer than this and then do the first row and then cut off the excess. I'll show you how to do that. So make a very long chain. This is my chain. It's longer than shoulder to shoulder measurements plus 4 inches. This is going to be the width of your sweater, but if you want it smaller, it's also okay. You can make it smaller. We are going to work our first row and then cut off the excess chain. So for our first row, I'm going to skip 1, 2, and into the third chain I am going to make a double crochet, and this double crochet is going to be my second double crochet because this chain 2 counts as our first stitch. So that's our second double crochet, and now this is the third double crochet. So I have 3 double crochets because our chain 2 counts as a stitch. So you're going to chain 1, skip 1 chain, and then work 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So if you don't, I'm calling this like windows, like this mesh part. So if you don't want to leave that out, if you don't like it, leave that out, and you can just make it all in double crochet. So it's just going to be 3 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1 for this row 1. That's 2. That is 3. Then chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and then into the next a double crochet, and then a double crochet. So I am going to do this until I have my measurements. For me, my shoulder to shoulder measurements are 15 inches, and if I add 4 inches to that, it should be 19 inches. This can fit extra small and small size. So if you're small or extra small, you can use my measurements. So if you're not, then just take your tape measure, put it at the tip of one shoulder to the tip of the other shoulder, and whatever you have, add 4 inches to that. So we are starting from AB and we are going to be working our way upwards to BC. This is our first part. All right, so this is what I have, and I have some excess chain there because I don't like to count stitches, and we are working with multiples. So I first work the first row, and then I just cut off the excess. So like I said, mine is 15 inches shoulder measurements, plus 4 is 19, but as you can see I have about 20. It shouldn't matter, 1 inch or one inch more or less. You see here, if I took out the 3 double crochets, then it would be around 18, but it doesn't matter. I just decided to make it bigger. So depends on how you want your feet. Do you want it look bigger or smaller? You can even add only 2 inches if you want it to look smaller than mine looks. It's what you prefer. So you can change this pattern in any way that you like. So I am going to cut off the excess chain because I already have my inches, and your work should end with 3 double crochets. So I'll count three chains from where my last stitch is, and then just cut in the middle of that third one, and then just pull my yarn, and yeah, and that's done. All right, so this saves you the miscounting and then having the wrong number of inches, and you have to redo and redo. As long as you have the first row, then everything goes smoothly. So for row 2, we are going to chain 2, turn our work. This chain 2 now does not count as a stitch, so I will work in this very first stitch here, and it will be my first double crochet. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so I'm going to work in the next 2 stitches, and I'm working double crochets. So that is my third stitch, and then I'm going to make that little window there, chain 1 and skip that space, and now work 3 double crochets. You can also make this not just 3 double crochets, you can make them 5, you can make them 7, depends on how you want your pattern to look. Okay, or you don't have to put them like on 2 rows. You can just put 1 row without this little window, and then the next without, then the next with, the next without. Okay, so you can change this around, but for now, for me, for row 2, it's going to be the same as row 1. I'll meet you at the end. Are you interested in selling your products and services online? It could be physical goods, it could be digital content like written patterns, or even services. Squarespace has the tools you need to start selling online. Start with like a professionally designed Squarespace template. They have options for every use and every category. You can customize your look, update content, features for what you need, transform your template into your own, and stand out online and on every device. With the integrated optimized SEO tools, you can easily launch your website and get discovered fast, so you show up more and to more people and grow just the way you want. As an entrepreneur, all you want is like a seamless checkout for your customers. So Squarespace offers flexible payments, accept credit cards, PayPal, and Apple Pay. And in some eligible countries, you can offer your customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. So if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, then head over to squarespace.com/scrochets to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Thank you so much, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. So coming to the end of row 2, this is how my row 2 looks like, and I'm going to finish this off. So I already have my chain 1, skip that chain space, and then work 3 double crochets in the last 3 stitches. This is going to be my last one on top of that chain 2. Go in like this, and my last double crochet. So these are our 2 rows, and for the next row I want to change color and also work it as a double crochet row. I just wanted to break the monotony, so you don't have to do exactly the same, or you can just do the same. So I want to work a row of double crochets only without those small windows, so I'm changing color to this dark red. Instead of finishing, I will finish with the red like this, and then cut off the yarn and then tie, just to make it secure. Do it twice. So for the next row, I already have one chain there, so I'm going to chain another one. I'll start over, so 1 and then 2, then turn my work. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so I'll make a double crochet in that very first stitch there. It does not count as a stitch, this chain 2. So this is my first double crochet. Then I go in the next stitch with my second double crochet and my third double crochet. And since I'm not making a chain, I'll go into this chain here that I left there, this chain 1, and make a double crochet in it. So I'm going to make 1 double crochet in every stitch, including the chain stitch. Okay, so just go in with double crochets all through. Also, if you don't want this double crochet row, you can just continue with how we made the first one. That's also an option. Just get creative with the pattern, you know, it doesn't have to look exactly the same. I'm also just trying to see how it looks like. All right, so I'm coming to the end of row 3, so I am going to make my last stitch in here. Since the chain 2 below did not count as a stitch, so I do not work in that. Okay, so that's my last double crochet, and all the number of stitches on the first row should be the same as second, as third, as fourth. The number of stitches should not increase. So I'm going to change to white because I'm working 2 white rows and then 1 red. So I'm changing back to white and I will tie it. So this color pattern doesn't also have to be like mine. You could do 2 or I don't know, 1 color, depends. So chain 2 does not count as a stitch. Turn your work, and now I'm going to work my first double crochet in that very first stitch. So that is 1 and that is 2, second double crochet, and then into the next stitch I work my third double crochet. So I'm going to do a repeat of row 2, so which means after 3 double crochets I make a chain. So I need to make this little window there, so I make a chain and then skip 1 stitch, and then into the next make a double crochet, and then next a double crochet, and then my third double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, and then double crochet in every stitch until I have 3 double crochets. Then chain 1 and repeat, and basically this is the pattern. We're going to repeat this until we have measurements. Let me see. So BC is like from under your arm all the way to where you want your sweater to reach without the ribbing. The ribbing is 3 inches long, so consider that, as well as your sleeve. And my sleeve is 7 inches, so I have 7 inches, and then I have 3 inches for the ribbing. So basically it is for me 10 inches subtracted from a length of my sweater. So if you want the length of your sweater, measure the length of the sweater that you want and then take away 10 inches. Okay? All right, so continue until I have that BC for me. So this is what I have so far before I put the sleeves. Like I said, my sleeves are 7 inches. So this is about 10 inches. So if I add my ribbing and my sleeves, which are 7, that means my whole sweater will be 28 inches long. Okay, so keep those calculations in mind. Now I need to add my sleeves. So the sleeve length depends on how you want your sleeve to be. So measure from your biceps, that's like the middle of your upper arm, all the way to where you want your sleeve to reach. Like I said, the ribbing is also 3 inches, so consider that because you'll add that later. So for me, it's going to be about 13 inches for what I add, and I'm just going to chain on the right to add a chain, a very long chain, because the excess I'll cut it anyway. that saves me the time of counting all the stitches. So I will chain something more than 13 inches. As you can see, my sleeves are quite long, so if you want them not to be so long like mine, then you have to chain something, you have to make something shorter than 13 if you're making an extra small or small. Or you can just measure from an actual sweater that you have and see, you know, the measurements of that and just replicate the measurements. So I'm just going to make a very long chain, and we are going to add this chain on the right side, and then we will do another on the left side to, you know. So I made something longer. This is about 15, so I will just add a few more so that, you know, it is longer than actually the 13. So I will reattach this in this last stitch here, chain 1, and then I'm going to cut it off, because when this is on the right side, you know, I worked this red on the right side, so I will be coming from the left side to the right side on the next row. So I need to add 13 inches, and I'm going to do multiples of 4. Okay, on this side I need to actually count the stitches and do multiples of 4. So I am going to attach this new color because I want to come back with a white, so I need to make the chain white. So I am going to make multiples of 4, so until I have 13 inches for me. Okay, so just reattach this, and then I am going to tighten this so that it's tight enough. And then I'm going to do multiples of 4. So I will do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the 13 inches. All right, so I have about 13 inches. It can be more, it can be less, because you're working with multiples. Doesn't have to be exactly the same. Okay, so, and once I get to the end, now I'm going to come all the way with the across all the way to the right side. Okay, so now I'm going to start. So I'm going to skip 3, and then to the 4th stitch I'm going to make a double crochet. So that counts as my second double crochet, and then I'm going to go into the next to make my 3rd double crochet, because the chain 3 counts as a stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, and then I'm going to make 3 double crochets in the next 3 stitches, and then chain 1, next 3 stitches, skip 1, and then work 3 double crochets in the next 3 stitches. And I'm going to do this until I get to the end. I should have 1 stitch left. So this is going to be part of the sleeve on one side, and the other chain on the other side will be part of the sleeve on the other side. So I worked all the way, and I'm back here. So I chain 1 and skip this last stitch here, right here, and then I work 3 double crochets in the next 3 stitches. And then chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochets, all right. So I'll do this until I get to the other side. I went across, now I'm on the other side of the chain. So chain 1, skip 1, three double crochets in the next 3 stitches, chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochets in the next stitches, and I will work the same number of stitches on this side as I worked on the other side. Then I can cut off the excess. So I'll just count either windows or these 3 stitches, and I should have the same as the other side, and then I cut off the excess yarn. So I'll meet you once I have that. Right side should match the left side. So I have the same number on the left side like I'd have on the right side, and now I'm going to cut off the excess yarn. So I'll just count 3 stitches into the third one, just cut in the middle, and then pull. So now we are just going to work the same. I just want to work the sleeves with white, so it's the same pattern, just longer now. So chain 2, turn your work, and I am going to work this the same way. So chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, so in that very first one I'll work my first double crochet, and then I'll go into the next one, work a double crochet, and into the next work a double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and continue. And for the extra small, you're going to make 7 inches, medium, large, 8 inches of the sleeve, and then extra large and XXL and so forth, you're going to make 9 inches. But if you want your sleeves to be tighter, then you can reduce on those inches. Okay, so it's basically the same until I have those 7 inches. Okay, so I will continue working this pattern until I have those 7 inches, and then that will be the end of our back panel. Definitely we've not put the ribbing yet, but we'll first work the both back and front and put the ribbing at last. So I'll work 7 inches. Yeah, I'll see you once I have those. So from perspective, this is how it looks like at the moment, and I worked my 7 inches, and this is how it looks after 7 inches. So this is part of the sleeve on the behind. Now we need to do the front, right? So 7 inches of sleeve. Also the front will have the same number of rows, so it's 7, and that's, you know, from top to bottom before the ribbing. And that's the sleeve. So now I need to measure from top to bottom before the ribbing. So let's see how long it is so far. My back panel is about, I wanted 28 after the ribbing, but now I already have about 26, and my ribbing is about 3 inches, so an inch longer than I wanted. All right, but it's okay. So now we need to do the V neckline. We are going to count all the stitches, right? However, we need to know how wide we want our neckline to be, and I want mine to be 8 inches. So you can have the same for every size until large, 8 inches, and for extra large and XXL and the rest, you can have 9 inches. So I need to know how many stitches are in 8 inches. So I will put my tape measure just anywhere and then count all the stitches in 8 inches because I need to know how many stitches I leave in the middle. Okay, so I count all my stitches and I have 22 stitches. So 22 stitches is equal to 8 inches. If you put your tape measure, it could be like 8 inches are equal to 26, are equal to 25, are equal to 28, depends on the yarn that you're using. Okay, so it can be any number of stitches, but for me it's 22. So I counted all the stitches on one side and the other side, and where I have my stitch markers here, I have 22, but since it was an odd number of stitches, I have 23. Okay, so I have 23 stitches in where I have my stitch markers. So that is where my V will be like. One side will be 11, the other side will be 11. We will be increasing. I will increase 11, and on the other side this is 11, and on this side I will also increase 11, and in the middle there will be 1. So 11 plus 11 is 23. Okay, 11 on one side, 11 on the other side, plus 1 is 23. So if you leave, let's say 30, I don't know how many stitches on your 8 inches. So if you leave 30, maybe it's 31 stitches, right? One, it will be 15 on one side, 15 on the other side, and 1 in the middle. Okay, so just measure how many stitches are in your 8 inches, and that's what you leave in the middle. So the stitches on the right and the stitches on the left should be the same number, and then you're leaving 8 inches in the middle. I hope it makes sense. Just rewind and listen to what I said and make it, make sense for you. All right, so I am going to do this pattern until I have this, where my first stitch marker is. Then we'll make an increase. So our V is made of increases. So whatever number of stitches you have left in the middle is the number of rows that half of that is the number of rows you will increase. So I'm going to go until I here where my stitch marker is. So I'm right the stitch before the stitch marker, because the stitch marker is part of my 23. So I'm not working in that. So now I need to make an increase. So in this last stitch, we are going to make an increase, which means we're going to put 2 double crochets in that very same stitch. So that will be our first increase. Okay, I need to make 11 increases because each side I have 11 stitches going like this, increasing on every row and for 11 rows. So if you have in your 8 inches you have 31, that means it will be 15 rows of increase. Okay, so next row is a chain 2, turn my work. Like before, chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so I need to make an increase, which means I'll put 2 double crochets in that very first stitch. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so this is going to be my first double crochet, and then to make an increase I will put another double crochet in that very same stitch to make 2. So now that our increase is made, then I'll just put 1 double crochet in the next and in the next, and then chain 1 and move on to the next one. So skip 1, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, and then chain 1, skip 1, and I'm just going to go all the way like that. Once I get to the other side, same thing, and then I come back, because then I'll meet you here. So I went to the other side and then came back with the double crochet row, and now I'm at the end, the side where I need to make an increase. So I have 2 stitches left, so I'll make my first double crochet in this stitch, and then into my last stitch I will make 2 double crochets because we need to make an increase. So I'll go in with the first double crochet, and in that very same stitch I will make another double crochet. Okay, all right, so next is a double crochet, another increase. So I'll chain 2. Chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so which means I will make 2 double crochets in that very same stitch. That's 1. I will make another one. All right, and I need to make a window here, so I count 4 stitches. So now I need to make a chain. So I chain 1, skip 1, this one here, and then just making sure I have the correct pattern there. So I skip 1, work 3, and then chain 1 to make a window here, and then skip 1, and then 3 double crochets. So I am going to continue just doing this and increasing until, so I don't increase until 11, but I increase until I have the number of rows as same as I have at the back for the sleeve, because we need to take off the sleeve first. So I work the sleeve, the number of rows for the sleeve. Let me show you. So for my sleeve I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I had 9 rows for my sleeve. That's 7 inches, right? So I am going to do the same on here as I increase until I have 9 rows, okay, for the sleeve. So I'll have 9 at one side and 9 on the other side, which will be a total of 18. And then I'll come show you how we can cut off that and then go back to having, this part here. Okay, so I will do 9 and then come. So you do the same, you increase the same number of rows that you had like for your sleeve at the back. Mine I will do 9 and then come so that we can continue. Okay, so front part of the sleeve is the same as back part of the sleeve. So this is what I have. I went on and continued and finished, plus cutting off the sleeve, but I'm going to show you how I did that on this other side because it's exactly the same. So if you have your 9 rows, right, like these are my 9 rows, okay, then you have done the same on this other side, the 9 rows. That's 9 for me. For you it's definitely different. Okay, so then I just counted these little windows or whatever, and then put a stitch marker here where I had, the sleeve. We added that sleeve later, so now I just take it back. So I count this same number of stitches that I added, and now I take them out. So I put a stitch marker and only work up to here. It's like, like we did here before we added it. Now it's the same. You just don't go all the way to the sleeve. Okay, so I did that and I didn't work this rest part of the sleeve, but I only worked up to here where the stitch marker is, so that you have the same number of rows at the back as the same as at the front. No, number of stitches. So I continued until I had my 11 increases. And now I'm going to show you how I did that on that side, because I need to replicate the same thing on the other side. So as you can see, I have my 11 rows, yeah, but on this side I will only do 10 first, because this 11th row I'm going to be working across the whole thing. Okay, so I will do only 10, and then let me just show you. So now we are going to start from here, because you're going to be increasing going to this side, so that we have that V, right? So you are going to start, because we are working going to the left, so I am going to start right next to the stitch marker for this side. So I didn't cut my yarn, so I just used another skein of yarn because I don't want to cut it, since I have a continuing row. The 11th row will continue to both sides, so that's why I'm going to only work 10 on this side. So I will need more yarn anyway, so I just used a new skein of yarn to do this. So reattach my yarn, chain 2, and I need to make an increase. So this is going to be my first double crochet, and then in that, because we need to make an increase, so in that very same stitch I'm going to make another double crochet. So that is my first increase, and then I'm just going to continue working the pattern because I have this window there, so I'm just going to put a window there, and I will continue working the pattern until I get to the end of the sleeve. Okay, so I'll work until this end and then come back and make another increase on this side. Okay, then I'll continue increasing until I have the 9 rows, which are my 7 inches of the sleeve, and then I'll meet you to show you how we take that off and work only the next part without the sleeve, because then we will be already done with the sleeve. So once you're done with your 7 inches or 8 inches or 9 inches, depending on your size, I'll see you. So this is how it looks so far for me. This is how it should look for you on both sides, because I need to show you how to do that small part, or you already figured it out. All right, so now I have my 9 rows, which are equal to my 7 inches, right, for the sleeve. Now I need to take off the sleeve because I don't want to work on the sleeve anymore. I already have my measurements for the sleeve, okay, but I still need to work on my V. All right, so I need to put a stitch marker, so I'm going to count all the stitches on this part of the sleeve, and then I'll count the same number of stitches on the top part of the sleeve there, and then put a stitch marker. So I'll put a stitch marker here. I'm not cutting, I just want to pull this. So I'll be just working on the left side of the stitch marker. Same pattern, just shorter. Okay, so I will add this is 9th row. I will add one more row to the 10th row of increase, and then I'll come so that we can do this 11th row, because we are joining from the other side to the other side. So this you can already cut off and close because we are done with that part of the sleeve, and now we need to continue. So I am going to reattach the yarn here, because since I'm not working the whole sleeve and my yarn was at the end of the sleeve, so I will just reattach it here so that I can work my 10th row. And if some people were complaining that my stripes are not in line, it's because here, remember the back, we're supposed to be working the red if you check at the back, but I am working the window, so I didn't continue with that. But if you want your stripes to be in line, so you will have to like change the pattern a little bit. So because I was working the double crochet row in red, then here you'd have to work the one of the window rows in red, and the to just match the pattern at the back if you want your whatever's to be in line. Anyway, I'm at the end and I need to make an increase, so I will make 2 double crochets in there, and that's my 10th row. Okay, so on this side I'm only working 10 rows because the 11th row I will come from the left side. Okay, so 10 rows, and now I'm going to cut because I'm going to come on the 11th row, continue from the left to this other side. So for this I'll just chain 1 and cut. Let me turn this around. So this is the 11th row and I'm here, so I need to join that to this other side. Okay, so these are 10 rows. So I'm going to work the 11th row continuously. So to this side. And here is a 1 stitch. So on one side I made 11 and on this side I made 11 increases. So the 1 stitch, since I had 23, is the middle stitch, and I will just make 1 chain in there to represent that. Okay, so I left 23 stitches by these stitch markers and I've worked 22 so far. Not really, because I'm not done with the 11th row, but in between here is 23, so I'll work 11 this side, 11 that side, and 1 in the middle. That represents all the 23. Okay, so you get it. Depends on what your 8 inches was equivalent to in terms of stitches. So that extra stitch, I am going to chain a 1. That's for the 23rd stitch. But since we are still working the 11th row on this side, I need to make that final increase on this side, because I only increased 10 on this left side. So now I need to make it 11 increases. So in that very first stitch, I'm going to put 2 stitches. So now it matches both sides. So this is 2, this is 2. Okay, so then now I'm just going to continue with my pattern. So we are done with the increases and we've joined our parts together. Now we have our V. Okay, the neckline is done. So now what we need to do is just work all the way to the bottom. So I will continue until I have here where I have the stitch marker. So that is our V, and we are done with that. We are just set to go. We will just repeat the same pattern now from now on. So now I'm going to change color, and I'm going to start with the red on this side. If you do it like me, continue with a double crochet row with the red, then your lines will not be in, your stripes will not be in line. So you'll have to make some changes if you want them to be in the same line. Like put one of the window stitches in red and a double crochet stitch in white. So now it's back to normal. So you're just going to chain 2 and then you're going to work 3 double crochets in the first 3 stitches. But this is a double crochet row, so you're just going to work a double crochet in every stitch anyway. So even in that chain space, you are going to work a double crochet in that chain stitch. And you'll continue to work 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to the end of the row. So it's basically the same, just work the same pattern, same number of stitches until you have the same number of rows like you did at the back. That is from the sleeve downwards. So this is how mine looks so far, and I worked all the way until I had the same number of rows, and it should look something like this. And this number of rows here should be the same number of rows on this side. Okay, so once you're done, that's it. You're basically done with 80% of the sweater, and now all we need to do is sew everything together and then work the ribbings, which is the easier part. So just clean your sweater, sew in all the ends, and then now we sew the sweater together. So I already sewed one side, as you can see, and I sewed it on the wrong side, the side that I want to be the wrong side. That is the side that I want to be inside. And now I'm just going to show you how I sewed it. And you can use any sewing method that you like. As for me, I am going to use this, is it a mattress stitch? I think so. So mine are not aligned, the stripes are not aligned. I already explained that to you, and I posted this on Instagram and it triggered some people, so I told you how you can change this up. So I am going to sew this using a yarn needle. So just go in from the inside out, and then on the other side I go from inside and out. Let me tie this first. So in, out, from the inside, out, from the inside, out, from the inside, and out. So you can use any other sewing method that you find fit or that you like. This is just what I will use. All right, so just sew everything together on the side, and then once you're done, you'll do the same to the other side, and then we'll do the ribbing. So I'm done, both sides, everything is sewed together, and now we are going to work on the bottom ribbing first. Okay, so we'll do the bottom ribbing, and we are going to be using the front post and back post ribbing style, because it's easy, it's fast, and it's cute, you know. Yeah, mostly because it's easy and fast, very fast actually. That's why I love it. So let's do that. So I'll start on the side, and I'm going to attach my yarn. I'll be using this dark red. So we are starting with a row of double crochets and make some decreases, sorry. So I am going to go in every stitch, so that's first stitch, second stitch, and third double crochet, 3, 4, 5, and then for every sixth we will be making a decrease. So I will decrease these 2 into 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then for the sixth I'll go in this first one and then come out of the second one to make a decrease. These 2 I only make 1. Okay, so just like this, go in, go out in those 2 stitches and make a double crochet. So you've decreased 2 stitches into 1, and then I go into the next one. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, and then a decrease. So in, out, double crochet. We've decreased these 2, so now I make 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then a decrease. And also I realized later that, you know, I used a smaller hook. I'm using a 4 instead of a 5, but I already did that, so it doesn't matter. I just continued with it. I realized this way later. So decrease in every 6th stitch. Okay, so I went all around and came back, and I'm going to close this off with a slip stitch. All right, so now we are going to start our front post and back post. So I'm chain three counts as a stitch, so I will use a front post first. So I'll go under this double crochet with my hook, just like this, under the double crochet, and make a front post. Next is a back post. I'll come from the back over the double crochet like this and make a back post. And next is a front post, and next is a back post. So it's a repeat of front post, back post, front post, back post. If you're not familiar with this stitch, just on this YouTube, go type up how to crochet front post and back post, and they will bring you very slow videos showing you how to do it. Okay, it's that easy. So once you learn how to do it, then you can continue. Otherwise, you can still learn from this. I'm not very slow, but I've done it 1,000 times, so it's not hard. It's just going over and going under with your hook. So repeat this until you get to the end, back here. All right, so I am back, and this is my last back post, and then this is my last front post. And now I'll close it off with a slip stitch on top of that chain 3. So chain 3, and we are just going to repeat this. So where there's a front post, make a front post, and where there's a back post, make a back post. Next is front post, and next is back post. So just continue going around like this. Next I did white, and next after that I did back to red. So changed color only one row, and that's it. And I'll see you once you're done, so that we can do the sleeve. So I'm done, and this is how it looks like. I only did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of front post and back post, plus the double crochet row. Now I think 6. No, it's 5. So it's about 3 inches long. Okay, about 8 centimeters if you're doing centimeters. All right, so now we need to do the same for the sleeves, and for the sleeves I want to reduce a little bit more. So let's start. This is when I realized I was using a 4 instead of 5. Yeah. For the sleeve, it's a bit not, the stitches are not so defined like the previous. So just chain 3, and let's figure this out. So chain 3 counts as a stitch, and you see these rows, we have the window rows and then the full double crochet row. So each row I'm going to go into the middle of the row. Why is that hard? Double crochet, and then I've got at the top of the row and put a double crochet. So middle of the row, top of the row. So that's 4, and now I need to make a decrease. So here I'm decreasing after every 4 stitches. Okay, so I make a decrease. That's, I worked in the top and the middle at the same time. So now I go to the top, that's 1, and then in the middle, that's 2. Top of the row, 3. Middle of the row, 4. And now I need to make an increase, so I will make a decrease. So I will decrease in top and middle. All right, so I'll just continue to decrease. Why do I keep saying increase? To decrease every 5th double crochet. Okay, so do that, and I will meet you at the end. Actually, I will not meet you at the end because we are repeating the same thing. So just continue decreasing. Once you're done decreasing, then you'll do the front post, back post, front post, back post, and then you repeat that, change color, change to another color, and that's it until you have the same number of rows like you did at the bottom. And then I'll see you once you have your 2 sleeves ready. All right, sleeves ready and the cuffs are ready. So now let's do the neckline. Neckline, I'm going to start with a row of single crochets. Okay, single crochets around the neckline. That's to define it better. So I am going to start from the top and work single crochets all around. So reattach my yarn, chain 1 and single crochet, and like before I'm going to be doing the middle of the row, top of the row, middle of the row, top of the row. And when I take off the row, it's like the middle of the stitch and top of the stitch. I say row because I mean the rows with the windows and the double crochet rows. So in that case, I mean if you have 2 rows of window and 1 row of double crochet, then you should have 6 stitches in those 3 rows. So it's more like 2 stitches in every row. So you're just going to continue doing that all around just to create this base. Then we can start our front post and back post. I'll meet you here at the end. So I went all around and I'm back here. I did, of course, 1 single crochet in every stitch at the back because those were defined. So I will just go into this chain 1 and close it off with a slip stitch. So now you're going to chain 3 because we want to start our front post and back post. So we'll make a front post here and then a back post, front post and back post, and I'll meet you at the bottom of the V here. I'm at the bottom here and I need to make a reduction. So for the reduction in these 2 stitches here at the bottom, I'm going to go under 2 of them, 2 stitches to make a front post. So I make that reduction by going under 2 stitches, and then I'll just going to continue with the pattern after that reduction. Just make front post and back post all around. So I made just a decrease at the bottom of the V and just continue until the end of the row. So I came to the end of the round. It's the round, not row. And I want to change color. So I'm going to introduce the white. I thought of doing it all in red. Maybe I should have. I don't know how I feel about the white up there. Anyway, chain 3, and where there's a front post, make a front post, and where there is a back post, make a back post. Then front post and back post, and repeat that until you're at the bottom of the V. Then we can make another reduction. So I'm at the bottom of the V, and now I want to make a reduction, but this time 3 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to reduce 3 stitches. So I'll go under 3 of these stitches here at the bottom and make a front post. So I'm going under 3 stitches. Okay. and then I'll go on and make a back post and go back with front post, back post, front post, back post. So if you want, you can add another row. Probably I would have added another row of the red, but I didn't, and I just left it at this. So if you want to add another row, please do, but this is how I left it. And yeah, that's our sweater. So thank you so much for watching. If I do the written pattern, then you will find it on my Etsy and Yancy shops. I will leave the link in the description box and the comment section. If I don't, then but if I do, just check the description box. I will leave the details there. So thank you so much for watching. Please share this video in your WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Otherwise, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.